morning folks, this is Lee back with you again, your virtual airline pilot. Hope you like the background. You're looking at the new Bell 47 helicopter, soon to be released in VAP air colours. That's coming along shortly, and we'll go fly in it when it comes out. Welcome back to the channel. Today I thought I would do a quick video since World Update 8 was released yesterday. Somebody asked me this, and I thought maybe we'll have a look at a handful of airports to see if they actually work with the new update or whether there are problems. I'm going to look at 3 freeware ones and 6 payware ones that I have installed and see how they work, how they look before and afterwards, and see what problems, if any, we see in those airports. So stay with me, welcome back, let's go right into it. So with Google Maps we can see 3 airports in Spain to the right and 2 in Portugal there. And now we're looking at the Canary Islands, and we've got our 3 airports in the Canaries. And then finally, far out in the Western Atlantic, Punta Delgada, part of the Azores, also part of Portugal. Okay, so here we are at FARO International Airport on the southern coast of Portugal. Okay, we have World Update 8 installed and everything's up to date, and if you are up to date you should have Flight Simulator version 1.24.5.0. So here's FARO, which is one of 4 airports that Asobo and Microsoft have updated and specially gone into. The other 3 are A Coruña, Lima Echo Charlie Oscar, Andorra, Lima Echo Sierra Uniform, Pico Island, which is in the Azores, also part of Portugal, Lima Papa Papa India, and of course we're looking at FARO here in Portugal. Of all the default airports that they've updated, or all the ones, or of the 4 that they've specially worked on, in my opinion this is the best. This is a really stunning airport, and it's very close, if not as good as the TropicalSim version, and we'll go into that in a minute. So as you can see, this is another one of those airports in a really stunning location. I've actually flown into southern Portugal on the way to somewhere else, and yeah, really nice. So a very quick look at the airport itself, and you can see what's been done. So here's the terminal. It's every bit as good as the payware TropicalSim version, I have to say. And the jetways work, the advertising looks really good, the ramp looks excellent. And here, if I go up a bit closer, you can see there's been some work done inside, and the ramp itself looks really good. It's very nice indeed. Signage is good, jetways are really good actually, and the general ambience, you can see the quality of the place looks excellent. Here's a quick look, a couple of views landside, again very nice, crisp and clear. Terminal looks good, trees and the foliage, the car models all look really nice. This looks almost like a payware airport. So we've got a little bit of a visibility issue here, probably it might be me, I'm not sure, but you've got models here that are not showing anything. But here you've got car rental agencies with the signs. Let's move a little closer and see if these models pick up. Yeah, there we go. So that's an interesting thing really. And looking back north there, you can see the highway going into the airport, looks really good. And looking out to the coast, the terrain looks actually as it should do, and all of this is really nicely modelled. Looks really nice. For a default airport that's been updated in World Update 8, this looks very good. And as far as I understand it, there's only one payware airport out there, and that's by TropicalSim. Just looks really good. Very impressed with FARO, the default airport that's been given special treatment in World Update 8. If there's time in this video, I'll take a quick look at the other 3, but we'll see. We've got 9 airports to get through. So the next thing to do after this is have a quick look at the payware TropicalSim and see if that works. So here we are back in FARO again, in Portugal. Lima Papa Foxtrot Romeo, and now we have the payware scenery by TropicalSim installed, And as you can see from this shot, at first glance everything looks reasonably okay, doesn't seem to be too much of a problem at all. From high level it all looks quite good. There doesn't seem to be any issues there when you look towards the coast or in the other direction. However, there are one or two little problems which possibly TropicalSim might issue a fix for. And as far as I know, TropicalSim current version is version 2, is the one that's currently on release that you can get from their website and from SimMarket. To be honest, I haven't seen yet to see if they've released an update. But anyway, let's look at the little issues that there are. So straight away you can see double jetways here. And to be honest, this is the thing that I find mostly about this. This is all of it really. It's just double bits and pieces. We come out here. I mean, the building itself doesn't seem to be affected, but you see you've got double taxi lines and stand centre lines. You also have what appear to be underlying terrain issues here. So it's something that TropicalSim are going to have to fix. And again, you can see double ground markings, double light poles here. Although, as you can see, much of the airport doesn't seem to be affected. But it's just, you've got the double jetways. You've also got, as you can see here, you've also got floating buildings. This is the airport from landside, which doesn't look too bad. So getting a little bit closer from landside looks fairly okay, not a problem there. And in the other direction. And looking this way you can see the stands, everything looks pretty much as it is. So the problems with this one, you've got double signage, double jetways, some elevation issues which could cause a sim crash. If you've just done a 4-hour flight out from the UK and you landed nicely, taxi off the runway, and suddenly the aircraft dips into one of these little dips and you suddenly get a crash and you've lost your flight. So TropicalSim need to have a look at and issue an update, assuming they haven't done so far. But as I said, the TropicalSim scenery does look a little bit better than the default enhancement that has been done in World Update 8 by Asobo, but I actually think the default one they've done is perfectly acceptable until TropicalSim do an update, particularly to correct the elevation issues. Those are going to be the biggest problems. So if you taxi around, suddenly the sim crashes out because of elevation problems. That's going to be your biggest issue for me. Double jetways I can cope with, double taxiway lines I can cope with. Although, as I say, hopefully they'll issue a fix and it should be fine. So that takes care of FARO in Portugal. As I said, the default enhanced version, one of the 4 enhanced airports that they've done, looks really good on its own. The TropicalSim one is also quite good. I quite like it, but it does need to be updated because many things don't work. Okay, so we're in Spain now. This is IBIZA Airport, Lima Echo India Bravo. Again, this is after World Update 8. I should mention that Microsoft Asobo have updated or improved or basically made better around about 100 airports, and all of the airports we're going to look at in the default state after World Update 8 are included in those 100. So we're looking at IBIZA. As you can see, not an awful lot has been done to the airport. It's been brought up a little bit, but it's still very much a default airport that you can see. And what does strike me about this is the landscape around the airport. As you can see, all of this here has been significantly improved. So anything payware or freeware that does work with this airport is going to certainly look a lot better than it did before World Update 8, and I think that's the case in many of these that we're going to look at. So there's an example looking towards the east, just looking down the coast, the coastline and the ponds here. All the things that are unique to IBIZA have been added or improved slightly. I just think the whole look of the terrain looks really quite good. So we're just going to the far eastern side here towards the coast, and again you can see the detail here is significantly better than it was, in my opinion. There's the highway and the highway here, coastline, buildings. This all looks so much better than it used to before World Update 8. So what about the airport? Yeah, fairly basic. Obviously they probably have improved it. It's hard to see where, but they have improved it because it's on the list of the 100 airports that they've enhanced a little bit. But as you can see, it's still fairly basic. But the surrounding terrain, I can't fault it, it's fantastic. So let's have a look at the freeware IBIZA that comes off FlightSim.to and see if it works with this enhancement. Okay, so you're looking at the first of our 3 freeware sceneries. This is IBIZA by a chap called Gamers Gaming. It's available on FlightSim.to. The current version 1.3, works. I've had a look around here. It works with the default, as you can see. What he's done is just basically some basic updates. It's not a complete overhaul, but he's added blast screens, taxiway lines, stands, stand clutter, and other bits and pieces which enhance this airport, make it look quite nice. Many of you will know that SimWings released IBIZA for FlightSim 2020. It's available on Sim Market at the moment. I haven't got that, so I haven't tested it. But I just thought it would be nice to look at 3 freeware sceneries for those of you who haven't bought it. And this is one of them, which I think is quite pleasant. As you can see, it updates bits and pieces and makes the airport look a little bit more livable. As far as I can see, I cannot find any terrain issues or bumps in the taxiways or runways, which is good news. And as you can see, you've got little enhancements, but you still keep the wonderful terrain enhancement that World Update brings. So just a quick look at the stand detail. As you can see, he's made some updates which makes things look a little bit better. I'm not sure why this happens, but if I back off just a little bit, you can see the blast panes there on the side of that jetway disappear. Don't really know why. So all looks quite good, and as I say, not everyone here, every stand here has a jetway, but those that do seem to be okay. And as you see, if we just take a trip down this side of the airfield, here are the little bits and pieces that have been added to enhance the scenery, and it all looks good, it all works, doesn't interfere with the default at all. But for freeware, this is a nice little scenery addition which makes this airport come to life a little bit. And it all looks good, very pleasant, and all seems to work quite well with World Update 8 installed. So this may be a little bit of an anomaly here. I'm not sure whether they should have ships in here, because it doesn't, to be honest, doesn't seem to be any actual way for them to escape. But maybe actually these are dredges, aren't they? So they're probably dredging this to make it deeper. So maybe they don't actually get out without being lifted out. Or maybe in the real world this is such that they actually can get out through here, I don't know. But as you can see from this shot, generally the airport works really well. And this little freeware edition looks brilliant. As I said, I'm not certain about the SimWings payware IBIZA from Airsoft. I presume that if there's a problem with that, Airsoft will work on it. But there you go, so a freeware scenery that works really well for the airport of Ibiza, the Spanish islands, in the Balearics. Freeware by Gamers Gaming from FlightSim.to, and this is version 1.3. So here we are in the first of a few visits to the Canary Islands. We're at Las Palmas in Gran Canaria. GCLP or Golf Charlie Lima Papa. Again, this is the default that's been enhanced slightly after World Update 8. First thing that strikes me again is the surrounding terrain, not so much the airport, although little bits have been done to it, but the surrounding terrain, as you can see, has been improved. One thing I should mention, the island creation scenery that updates the terrain and makes it look sort of more photorealistic. I haven't tested any of them. I've got one, but I haven't tested any of them with this update yet to see whether they're better. But what I can say, as you can see, is that the terrain itself around the airport's improved quite a lot. The coastlines look really good, and the terrain itself just looks fantastic. As for the airport, as you can see, it's still fairly basic. I mean, it's good enough. You want to fly in here and you don't have any payware or freeware add-ons or additions. It's good enough, it works. And here's the airport from landside. Over there in the distance you can see the wind turbines that this airport is known for. And looking towards any other direction. So, very nice airport, fairly basic, but again, as with the other airports, the surrounding terrain looks better than it did before. So here we are in the Freeware add-on for Las Palmas in Gran Canaria. It's Golf Charlie Lima Papa, back in the Canaries again. It's a freeware scenery by JP. It's fairly basic, but as you can see, it does enhance the buildings and the jetways and the general clutter of the airport. This scenery for some reason isn't available on FlightSim.to. You can get it from allflightmods.com. That's allflightmods.com. Just do a search for JP on Google and you should be able to pick it up. And this version seems to work okay. I can't seem to find any elevation issues, bumps in the taxiways, etc. But as you can see, it looks pretty good. So just looking at the other side there, it all seems to fit in quite nicely. Just enhances the airport very, very nicely. So I haven't seen any payware scenery for this airport at all yet. There's only the freeware. And the only other thing is the Island Creations high resolution photo scenery that goes around the airport. Again, not tested in this review. Just looking at a couple of airports, 6 payware and 3 freeware, to see if they work in World Update 8. As you can see there, road markings, ramp markings, jetways, they'll connect to the building quite nicely. Slight enhancement to the building, which makes the default look just that much better. And looking in the other direction, you can see stairwells, all bits and pieces that make this just look a little bit, make this just a little bit better. And a little shot there looking landside. And in the other direction there you can see the landside part of the terminal. It's much better defined in this freeware than it was in the default. So together with the terrain and the fact that this little add-on enhances the airport just a little bit more, you've got a really nice airport here in Las Palmas. And there you can see, just looking from a higher elevation, the whole thing looks really, really nice. Very pleasant indeed. So this is the freeware Las Palmas, Golf Charlie Lima Papa in the Canaries, freeware by JP. It's fairly basic scenery, but it does enhance the the airport after World Update 8, and it works. So scenery is to be found on allflightmods.com if you want to get it. No payware that I can see at the moment. Okay, once again we're back in Spain again. This is the island of Majorca, and we're at Palma International here in Majorca, and this, as I say, is the default after World Update 8. As you can see, it's as it should be. They've got all the buildings and everything's as it should be, but unfortunately it doesn't look that realistic. But again, looking around here, you can see the terrain, the city, and the surrounding terrain has been improved, which really makes this look good. You're looking towards the the north there, you can see the terrain looks really good. Remember, we're in sort of March, April here, so the season looks really, really impressive. So here we are looking north again. You've got the 2 runways there, 24 left and or 06 left and right in front of you. Here's the coastline. The beaches look good, buildings. I don't know how many of these boats are flat photo pictures or 3D models. But as I say, the striking thing about most of these updates after World Update 8, it's not so much the airports, although I have to admit FARO is excellent. What does really strike me is the surrounding terrain. So here's another high level shot of the airport and the coastline, and that really looks impressive. It looks pretty realistic. So what about the airport? Well, as I said, not much to go by really. The buildings look dull and grey, they're the wrong colour. Although the buildings are complete, they've got all the buildings that should be here. The colouring and the markings are fairly basic. But as a default airport, you want to fly in here without buying any add-ons or any freeware add-ons. You've got the airport and everything as it should be. So there you go, that's Mallorca. So now we're going to have a look at the JustFlight payware add-on to see how that works with World Update 8. So here we are, back in Mallorca, the city of Palma, Palma International. This is the payware scenery. This is the JustFlight version. There's also, as many as you know, there's also a version out by JustSim, which was released last year. So this is the JustFlight version, released for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. And again, when you're looking at the airport, the current version is 1.1.2, which appears to work fine after World Update 8. You're looking at it installed with World Update 8 and the surrounding terrain. I think it looks really, really nice. Again, I can't find any terrain issues or undulation issues on the taxiways. But as I said, I don't know, things may change in your sim, I don't know, but I just thought it would be good to look at this again in the context of the terrain, the improved island terrain under World Update 8. I think this looks really good. So as you can see, markings are fine, no double jetways, no double markings, all looks quite good. The building is the correct colour this time, got this sort of bluish colour that they have. And over there in the distance you can see the light blue glass frame terminal in the distance there. And again here you can see the trees, the car park and everything looks okay. And as you can see there, the elevators work too. That other one on the left's going up, just waiting to see if this one comes down. There it goes. So the animations seem to work okay. All looks good, no problems at all that I can see, nothing doubled. And again, looking at the gates here, just off of near the threshold of 06 right. Again, no double gates. Buildings look okay. They portray as they should, and the colouring's good too. No double signage or double taxiway signs or anything like that, and the buildings all look great. And again, a close look at this building here, as you can see with the glass. Colouring's all okay. Stands are fine, no double taxiway markings or anything like that. Jetways are okay, and up in the top right there you can see the radar dome on top of the control tower. So the JustFlight scenery seems to work perfectly well. So there you go, Palma Mallorca International by JustFlight, the payware scenery. Seems to work perfectly well after World Update 8. I can't see any issues, no double taxiway lines or double jetways, and the terrain seems to be okay. So here we are at Alicante. We're back in Spain again, on the Mediterranean coast. Again, this is the default updated version of Alicante after World Update 8. Again, the airport looks fairly bland, as many of these do, with the exception of FARO. But as you can see, the surrounding terrain looks brilliant. We go a little bit higher. The surrounding terrain looks brilliant. It looks they've done quite a lot of work to really improve the look and feel of this part of the world. They're looking towards the coast in the other direction. Looks really good. Just looks great. And again, down to the coast on the south side Mediterranean in the distance there. Visually looks fantastic. But as for the default airport itself, as you can see, it's pretty basic, but they have really improved the ground markings here, as you can see. And everything you need is here. With a default airport, it looks fine. And here's the last of our freeware airports. This is Alicante. Freeware by Hergy1234 is what he knows himself as. You can find him on the FlightSim.to website. You do a search for Alicante. Current version is 1.4. And by and large it works, but as you can see straight away there are elevation issues here. The main terminal and the gates and everything are off the ground, and there are problems here as well, although the airport's usable, and at the moment I can't find any bump issues on the taxiways. Good guy that he is. He already told his people to expect problems after version 1. After World Update 8, and he's already working on a fix, so hopefully expect that to appear reasonably shortly. That's really good news. But this is a nice airport for a freeware. This is one of the nicest freewares that I've seen, so when he corrects these issues it'll be great. So here you can see some of the problems here. There's just the terminal doesn't sit right, it's not on the ground properly, and the same is true there. And again from landside you can see the issues that need to be solved. And here too you've got photo scenery that's being sticking up and going into the terminal. And again here, see the terrain is a bit all over the place. But as you can see, mostly the terrain on the airport works. Once he solved these elevation problems with the buildings, this is going to be a nice little airport for a freeware airport to fly into. So freeware for Alicante, Lima Echo Alpha Lima by Hergy1234, available on FlightSim.to. This is version 1.4. He's already working on a fix to solve these issues for World Update 8, but it's a really nice little airport. Well, once again we're back in Portugal. We're at Punta Delgada, Lima Papa Papa Delta, on the island of São Miguel, out in the Azores. This is Portuguese territory. Again, this is the default airport update after World Update 8. And as you can see, like with the others, the terrain around the airport looks really good. Done a great job with that. Airport's fairly basic. It's not anything like the paywares that we've seen. But again, you have all you need to fly in here without buying anything. And the terrain visually makes all the difference. You're looking at the other direction there. The coastline looks lovely there. And the green, it really is quite breathtaking. Unlike some of the airports, the ground markings have been improved. They look really good from the default here. The airport building itself is accurate, although it's not visually like the real thing. Hasn't been detailed. But it's there, and the taxiways are correct, and again everything you need. It looks perfectly okay as a default basic airport. Taxiways are correct, car park there to the left. Not much to say, it looks fine. And here we are going towards the other end, towards the threshold of runway 30. As you can see, this has been nicely done. Nothing huge to write home about, but it looks good, and I think the terrain just makes it look better. Very impressed, very happy with that. Okay, look at another payware airport. This is Punta Delgada by MK Studios. Available from Sim Market and also available from Orbix if you choose to get it from there. So the current version, as you can see, works really well with the terrain. In fact, the terrain around the airport, if anything, looks greener. There are one or two tiny little issues, mainly with buildings landside. There's one I could see blocking the road, but I can't see any terrain or elevation issues with the runways or the taxiways. And the buildings, gates, everything looks fine there. As you can see there, no double lines or double taxiways or anything like that. Building looks good just as it does previously. And all the stand clutter's in the right place, the signage is good, and there are no double ground markings or anything like that. All looks really good. So landside car park and the roads there, everything looks okay. And again, land side of the terminal looks fine as well. The only thing I can see here is the poor guy walking across is going straight in through the glass. There he goes. But however, everything else looks really lovely. Very nice indeed. So there you go, Punta Delgada International Airport on the island of San Miguel and the Azores, Lima Papa Papa Delta. This is the payware version by MK Studios, and currently it all seems to work after World Update 8. Okay, still in Portugal, but this time back on the mainland. Here we are at Porto, Lima Papa Papa Romeo. And again, this is the default airport after World Update 8. And again, what strikes me is the surrounding terrain, the roads, bridges, buildings, just the whole terrain thing. It seems to be hugely improved. The airport has been updated. It's not been seriously enhanced. It's not one of the 4 that have been seriously enhanced, but it does look a little bit better than it did. We'll have a close-up look in a minute, but I just want to show you the environment here around the airport. It's the environment, I think, that really gets me when I'm looking at World Update here, just these handful of airports. So the environment just hugely seems to be so much better. I mean, highways, bridges, buildings, the layout of what's going on below just looks so much more realistic. Again, looking out towards the coastline and the harbours in the distance, this just looks so much better than it did previously. When the airport looks fine, again, it's a default airport, not really much to write home about here, although the ground markings appear to have been improved. But again, all you need as a default airport is perfectly acceptable. So we're back with MK Studios once again. This time it's Porto in Portugal, Lima Papa Papa Romeo. This is the payware scenery by MK Studios, available on Sim Market and available from Orbix as well. In general, there are no real issues. It works. There are terrain undulations. If you look here, you can see this all looks to be a little bit hilly, and the runway is kind of sloped. Now, I don't know if the runway is sloped in real life or if this happens, but this may be a terrain or elevation issue, and there may be a situation where after you land and taxi off the runway and try to taxi into the terminal, you might experience a crash because of the terrain. But apart from that, generally it works. There are no double jetways, no double taxiways or taxiway signage. All of the buildings are pretty much at the right height. There are just 1 or 2 little anomalies. There's that terrain anomaly over there. And here, for example, you can see this all slopes up. And here's the new default terrain after World Update 8. And as you can see, it doesn't quite work here. Not really too sure. And we go a bit closer there, look, you can see the fence is actually floating. So there are 1 or 2 little terrain issues here. They may or may not affect you flying. Certainly, if there is a slope on that runway, a significant slope, and significant slopes here, they may affect you taxiing in after landing. But essentially the airport works. And as you can see, and as I've said before, it's a nice airport that fits in really nicely with what is now a much better landscape. Loads of roads and city conurbations. It just looks really good. And they're down looking towards Porto in the southeast corner here, southwest corner I should say, and here are the roads. A little bit of undulation here, don't know how good that is. But visually really very nice. So there you go, Porto, Lima Papa Papa Romeo in Portugal by MK Studios, payware airport, available at Orbix and Sim Market. Generally it works after World Update 8, notwithstanding the slopes that you can see quite markedly here. They're probably taxiable, but they could result in a crash when you leave the runway after landing. and the runway itself does suffer from a little bit of a slope, although it's not as pronounced, certainly from what I can see, as the taxiway is. And here we are back in the Canary Islands again. This time we're at La Palma, GCLA, Golf Charlie Lima Alpha. And again, this is the default airport after World Update 8. Not much to say. Everything you need is there. The ground markings are really good, I have to say, in this one. Terminal is a bit dull and grey, but it's to be expected, and you've essentially got pretty much exactly what you need anyway. But again, what's most striking about this airport is the terrain, visibly, and the way it looks. The island does look a lot more realistic. I love the way the coasts have been done there. Looks really good. Looking down towards the rest of the coastline, the mountains. Again, it's the surrounding terrain that really sort of hits me, that really looks good in this update. The airport's fairly basic. Nothing really to write home about, but you've got all you need. So there you go. You've got a default airport with all the bits and pieces that you need: runways, taxiways, markings, buildings, everything you need to fly in here. So if you have one of those days where you forgot to load your favorite per payware add-on scenery, you can usually find that you've got a default airport that, okay, doesn't look so brilliant, but has everything you need, and you can actually land there without having to land on a bit of ground or a bit of sea. So here we are looking at the SimWings version of La Palma, Golf Charlie Lima Alpha, back in the Canaries again. And again, we're in World Update 8, and this is the payware scenery from SimWings Airsoft, which you can get on the Airsoft website, or you can get from Sim Market. From what I can see, it works. I can't see any issues or anomalies. The runway looks okay. It does slope slightly, but I believe it does in the real world. I've just had a run across the ramp as well. The taxiway exits and the ramp is reasonably level. I can't see anything that might upset the aircraft after a landing. And just going along the coastline, that all looks good. The animations work. You can see the turbines moving there slowly. There isn't much wind, as there's no weather set here. But both landside and airside, the terminal, roads, passengers, animations, bits and pieces, all work perfectly okay. And from what I can see, it all looks pretty good. So no issues at all, no real issues at all that I can see with the SimWings La Palma. As with all of these are experiences that I've found. You may yourself have issues, particularly those of you who use the Steam version of Flight Simulator. I'm running the version from the Microsoft Store, as I say, fully updated to World Update 8. And so far, La Palma looks really nice and quite usable. No problems at all here that I can see. So once again, we're back in the Canaries, and this is Tenerife South, or Tenerife Sur, Golf Charlie Tango Sierra. And again, this is the default airport, updated slightly after World Update 8's been installed. Again, the most striking thing for me is the terrain. The airport surrounding environment looks so much better than it did before. As I've said in another segment, Island Creations have created high resolution photo scenery for this airport and many others in the Canaries. That isn't being tested in this review, so it'd be interesting to see how well that works. But the default world update does look so much better. It just generally looks visually more impressive. And there's the bay with a famous little mountain that most people know, and looking towards the other direction. So looking at the airport itself, as you can see, it's fairly basic. Colours are all wrong really for the buildings, but everything is there. Again, to operate into this airport you don't need any add-on, but obviously to enhance it, then you would be nice to have such an add-on. And here we're looking at the landside entry point from the freeway that goes into the airport. Again, nicely defined, and the terrain looks good. And there's a quick look from landside to the airport itself. Again, nothing much to write home about, but the airport in its entirety is there, it exists. So you can fly into it without the addition of any add-on scenery or any other enhancement. And here we are looking at the Payware Tenerife South, or Tenerife Sur, Golf Charlie Tango Sierra, scenery by SimWings again. This Payware version available from Airsoft or available on the Sim Market website is currently being discounted, actually, down from €20 to €15, so if you haven't got it, might be worth an investment. Again, we're with World Update 8, and I can't see any issues with the buildings, roads, bits and pieces. Everything looks really fine, as with the other SimWings series. There don't seem to be any issues per se. However, there is a fairly pronounced slope going towards the threshold of runway 7 here. If you take the taxiway from about here, it starts to go down, but it is only does seem to be just a slope. It's not like a dip or a bump, so as long as you're careful taxiing, you should be fine. The same is not true of the other end. 2.5 looks to be okay. Some of these exits also have a very gentle slope, but again, the slopes are gentle. I don't know if that's a terrain issue with World Update 8, it might be, but everything else here all seems to fit. No double jetways, no double taxiway lines or double signage. The signs along here that Airsoft have placed all work well, they're not out of place. So generally this whole airport seems to work. As I said, here can't see anything much in the way of a slope here, so taking off from 2.5 is fairly straightforward. And again, all this seems to work fairly well. So here's the view from landside. As you can see, all of this fits, don't see any issues here, no floating buildings or bits and pieces. These blocks, which are a feature of this airport, also again are perfectly okay, they're not floating at all. And in previous version there were buildings and bits and pieces sitting on top of this one, for which they issued a fix, and now we don't seem to have any problems at all. And as you can see, the terrain looks really just beautiful. Nicely updated in World Update 8. Looks perfectly fine. So there you go. Tenerife South or Tenerife Sur, Golf Charlie Tango Sierra by SimWings for Microsoft Flight Simulator, installed into World Update 8 with little or no issues that I can find, apart from the odd slopes and little gradients here and there. So that completes our look at 9 airports being installed after World Update 8 to see if they work. 3 of them were freeware and 6 of them were payware. So World Update 8 is officially out, and we've just looked at 9 airports, 3 of them freeware and 3 of them payware, to see if they fit without having to have anything done to them. As you can see, there are a few issues, some of them minor, some of them a bit major, but other than that, so far they fit pretty well, and at least one of the freeware airports is being worked on as we speak by its developer to get round any issues that we have in World Update 8 release. Here you can see the release notes, and again the current sim should be 1.24.5.0. So they've added the Portuguese location. They've also updated the ARAC, which has just come out. 2203 has been added, and here's the list of the airports here that they've done some work on, that they've improved data on. Some of them are really huge improvements, some of them are fairly basic ones. And there's an addition of something like 1,000 missing airports in the game, and again you can find the full list by clicking here. So 6 photogrammetry cities there, 4 handcrafted airports. We've looked at FARO, and dozens of handcrafted points of interest, and the usual bush trips, landing challenges and discovery flights. And with this update, various fixes as well here, and a list of known issues. So once again, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It was a bit of a mammoth task for me to put it together. It's taken me all day, but I hope you enjoy it. I hope you found it useful, and look forward to the next video or series of videos coming out next week. And until then, this is Lee, Virtual Airline Pilot, saying bye for now and thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.